Having a bookshelf or a display shelf can be super functional, but that doesn't mean that you should compromise on its aesthetics. For this episode on Acasa Living, I'm going to show you guys how you can properly decorate your display shelf. We are going to turn this shelf into this. When your display shelf or bookshelf is well decorated and well organized, it just feels nice. Like, it looks good, it's pleasing to the eye. It could also even be a focal point in a room. For this one, I guess the theme is luxe, modern, with a hint of tropical, as always, because that's, that's me. And yeah, I think that's it. So one of the concepts that's important to me when designing a shelf is to create contrast. Now you're gonna notice that in the shelf that I created, there's gonna be some blacks and some whites in almost every shelf. It creates more dimension in that sense. You don't really want it to look so monochromatic because it's not as pleasing or as fun to the eye as contrast. Next is, I wanted to show you guys the different ways on how to display books. Now you can display them stacked on top of each other horizontally. So when you're stacking books, it's really important to take note that you must put the bigger books at the bottom and then work your way up to the top, creating sort of like more of a pyramid effect. Because yeah, you don't want to put, big books and then small books in between each other. It just doesn't look as appealing. It looks cluttered and you want to avoid that. And then another great way to display books is by using bookends. Now you don't necessarily have to buy bookends. You could use other items. Like for one of the shelves, I used a jar or a vase and a wooden letter M and wedged the books in between them. And those two items acted as my bookends. I added a letter M because, Maggie. Next, we move on to the plants. I used a mixture of real plants, dried flowers, and fake plants. Now, I'm not opposed to using fake plants. I used to be so against it. I had this thing where everything had to be real, but you know what? It's not realistic to always have real plants and take care of all of them, because eventually one of them is gonna die. So I mixed it up. I also chose the plants based on the height of the shelves. That's really, really important. If you put something that's too small, again, the space is gonna look a little empty. So you wanna make sure that you fill at least half of the shelf with the height of the plant. I also used storage boxes. Now again, if you live in a house that has a lot of things, you don't really wanna display everything, or if you have a kid and you wanna hide some of his stuff, beautiful storage boxes is the way to go, because again, you don't want to see them, so it's a great way to hide things so it looks less cluttered. Adding small boxes to a display shelf, especially if it's near the door, is great, because if you have keys, like car keys, you don't really want them exposed, so you can use those little boxes as little storage spaces for your keys. The items that I used on the display shelf are, I used quite a few candles, and then I also added a candle snuffer. A lot of people don't really know what that is, but you know what, guys? It's pretty and it works. So when you're killing a candle, instead of blowing it out, you use a candle snuffer to sort of to kill the candle flame, so that the smell of the smoke doesn't radiate to the rest of the room. So I added one of those, and then I also added a little globe because I love to travel. So it's very me. It was actually a gift to me by my sister, so I added that little globe into the mix. The horse was a gift from my mother-in-law, but it's a really beautiful piece, so I decided to add it over there. And I love horses. I used to ride, so you can see that there's a lot of me displayed on that shelf. I feel like display shelves are one of the last things people think about. My shelf gives the person looking at it a little peek into who I am and the things that mean the most to me. And that can also apply to you. If you learned something from this video, please leave a thumbs up. And if you want to see anything else from me in the future, don't forget to leave a comment below. And I'll see you guys next time. It's vibrating.